Good afternoon everyone, my name is Lewis, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all safe and well. Now today I'm going to be talking about, as usual, 3 albums that I've been listening to recently. I'm going to talk about each album in turn, and yeah, I'll give you some kind of insight into what I was thinking when I was listening to these albums and how I feel about them. So first out of the gate is a 2012 release by the Hermann Eberitzsch the Third Project, and the album's entitled Chapter 3. There you go. I like this album cover, I really do. It's like a facsimile of a master tape box, outer box. These two bits here refer to 2 tracks which are contained on the album. It basically highlights which artists are playing what instruments. So yeah, it's super interesting. I really liked it. It is a gatefold. I'll try and do that for you now. Give me a second. So yeah, a bit of blurb about the album and the track listings. Yeah, that's really quite nice. I can't complain about that. So yeah, to give you some context, the central point of my experience with this album is that it was an up and down experience. On listening to it, I liked it, then I loathed it, then I liked it again. And I go through why this particular up and down happened with me. So do bear in mind this is a 2012 release. So this particular recording is originally derived from unreleased material, which was recorded between 1971 and 73. Now, initially I found this to be a extremely pleasant journey through smooth fusion. Yeah, I really liked it. There was nothing too taxing, nothing too experimental. It was a really kind of pleasant experience. I can't deny it. I really did enjoy it. So yeah, there's no doubts that there are some really nice compositions played well by the musicians on this particular album. I can't deny that for even a second. I wouldn't do that. But yes, that's not what the problem is. The elephant in the room is, now, do I necessarily going to give them a hard time? I'm just going to explain what's actually happened here. Now, say for example, you've got a classic album from 40 years ago, and in order to celebrate that occasion, you've decided to re-release it as a kind of special edition, up-to-date version. So you've got a number of choices to make as the artist and the production company behind it. Do you try and keep it as near to the original, clean it up a bit if you can, but do you try and keep it as close to the original sound as possible, or do you give it a modern slant? Now, unfortunately, in this case, they decided to give it a more modern slant to it. Now, what I mean by that is that it was put through a modern mixing desk, and all the kind of dynamics of the sound were completely changed to the kind of modern listening tastes. So there was a bit of compression going on, for want of a better phrase or understanding of what's going on. Now, yeah, I can't give them too much grief for it because loads of artists have done it. It's a nice little money spinner. But for me, I really do like the 70s sound. I do like that, technology wasn't as advanced. It wasn't terrible, depending on what your budget was. But I really do like that kind of era of sound. Most of my collection is 70s based, there's no doubts about it. So I'm completely familiar with it, and that's probably why I purchased this album to begin with. Now, it was on the second run through this album that I suddenly became furious at listening to it. And it was a kind of thing where I was listening to it, doing something else, but listening to it in the background. And suddenly I just did my neck snapped. And it was like, what the hell is going on here? So what it is that they've basically put it through a modern mixing desk, and it's got modern sensibilities now, and I think they partially ruined it. Yeah. My kind of overall thing was, not only did they put it through a modern mixing desk, that the studio engineer, I don't know who it was, I'm not going to look it up, and I don't really want to throw a lot of shade, but my impression is that that person really didn't care. They had no understanding of fusion. They probably are used to other genres, modern genres, and the whatever magic tricks that they do on these mixing desks, they put this through the same thing without kind of any kind of sensibility as to what the sound was, what the genre was. They just went, oh, this button here does dance, I'm going to use dance for this album, which is a fusion album. Yeah. So yeah, that's what basically triggered me. It's such a shame. They should have just left it untampered with. It probably would have been, from at least my experience, it would have been a lot better. Now, I did find a solution, and why I say I love, hate, and then loved again is, if I don't think about this album as something produced originally in 1971 to 73, but think of it as a 2012 fusion album, then order's restored. Happiness is back in my life. I can listen to this again. If I solely think of this as a 2012 album, not as something from the early 70s. So that was my way around it. But yes, it was an absolute shocker when it actually happened, and I went, oh God, what's going on here? The tracks that I would recommend from this album are Smoothing Along with the Smoothies, Artesian Wells, and the fantastic track called Dark Angels. And that's why I'm not going to abandon this album, because there are good tracks on here, no, undoubtedly. But I just have to think of it as a 2012 album. The notables on this album are Hadley Callman, who's on flute and sax, who does a lovely job on here, Kenneth Nash on percussion, and Maxine and Julia Waters on vocals, all of which do a fantastic job on this particular album. And yeah, I'm slightly heartbroken because they could have just left it as it was. I think they should have put out two versions, one closer to the original and then their modern update. Of course, that's going to cost money. They took a chance, tried to modernize it, and I don't think it entirely works. For those who like fusion, it doesn't entirely work. So, but I'm going to keep it. I'm not getting rid of it or anything. And just for the experience of having my neck snap at listening to it, I'm going to keep it. So there you go. That's the first one today. The second album today, yes, I really did like this one. It's a 1977 release, again a fusion album, and it's by Steve Grossman, and the album's entitled Terra Firma. I do like that album cover. Yeah, I really do. The reason why I like it, it looks like a man who's pondering his life choices, the life choices he's made, that eventually landed him in the county jail, and he's just like looking at through the bars kind of thing, looking at the bars going, oh my God, what did I do? It's that kind of cover, so I really do enjoy this. Yes, this is a high energy outing from Grossman, an enthusiastic blend of rock and fusion, with some engaging compositions on display. There is no doubt that Mr. Grossman assembled a talented group of musicians, and that's why there's no surprise that there are many interesting and varied tunes featured on this album. Yeah, it's may not be for everybody. There's a lot of guitar riffs in there. So for those who like fusion, that might be too much for them, but I certainly enjoyed it. It's something different, and it's to be respected in my opinion. So, my overall thoughts were, if you like your fusion with a hint of blues and a generous coating of space rock, then this album is for you. It certainly is for me. It's enjoyable, it's different, and bravo to all those involved. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed the journey. I found myself nodding along to this album with pursed lips and a kind of like Mick Jagger kind of thing. I'm going to try and recreate how I was listening to it. That's probably not entirely what was going on, but yeah, pretty similar. So yeah, as you can tell, I really did like this album, and for good reason. The tracks that I would recommend from this album would be Katona, Relentless Lady, and This Way Out. Notables on this album, which I found really quite interesting. The first one is Jan Hammer on keyboards. So those who are, in their early 30s and 20s probably don't know who Jan Hammer is. But if you don't know, he's the gentleman who's responsible for a couple of the memorable tracks from the Miami Vice series. And you'll go like, Miami Vice? What are you talking about? There is a film version with Colin Farrell from quite a few years ago, but the series was kind of, I think, like a 90s, early 2000 thing, and it was super like luxurious, fast cars, fast ladies, yachts, drug dealing, cops, undercover cops. It was a fantastic show. All my memory of it was like as a fantastic show. Yeah, so Jan Hammer did like I think he done Crockett's theme, and it was of that era. It was a big tune. Everybody kind of knew it. Not necessarily I purchased it, but everybody knew the tune because it was that kind of. It was a hit show, so everybody kind of knew what it was. So good to see Jan Hammer on here, along with Don Elias on percussion and Gene Perler on bass, all of which do a really nice job on this album. Please give this album a listen, as well as the first one. See what you think. Like I said, for those who like fusion, I think this is really good, and it's I'm never gonna get rid of it. I like this album because it's different. Even in my subcategory of fusion on my shelves, this is in there because it does something that the others don't. So yeah, check it out, see what you think. I think you can still get this for reasonable money. It's not to everybody's taste, so see what you think first, and if you do like it, I think you'd be able to get it for, you'd be able to get it quite widely, and it's going to be for reasonable money. So please check it out, see what you think. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments section. Yeah, it'd be good to have some of your feedback on it. So the third and final album today, I really did enjoy this one, is a 1969 release by a gentleman called Guito Santamaria. I just love saying his name more than anything, Guito. And the album's entitled Hey Sister. There you go. Again, I like the cover here. Yes, Monguito's looking like sharp. He's got like some nice clothing on. He's doing a kind of athlete kind of crouching stance there, and he's looking at the attractive lady next to him. And yeah, he's got bad intentions on in his face. He's a handsome guy. You know what I mean? He thinks he's in with a chance. I also like her face as well. It has that resting face, and it's like, I'm not interested in you, mate. It's like, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying. So I feel kind of sorry for yeah, it's yeah, I do. That's just life. There you go. So Monguito is a pianist, and he's a very good one. He's lively. I do enjoy his work. It turns out, and just from the name of Santamaria, I thought, oh, is he related to Mongo Santamaria, the Congo player, the world famous one? But I didn't really pursue looking at it. You know, I just think of them as separate entities. You know, they're in the same kind of place on my shelf, but I really didn't make the connection. Turns out that this is his son. So yeah, that was a nice surprise to find that out. Not in, you know, it wasn't outside the bounds of like, oh, this is impossible type thing. But yeah, just because they share the same name didn't mean that they are necessarily related. So it was good to find out that he actually is. It was surprising and pleasant to find that out. So what a talented family. Yes, I found this album to be a lively, soulful, New Yorican extravaganza. So this has that, you know, it's got strong. Well, it's a Latin album. It's super funky. It's yeah, I really enjoyed it. I always, when I do listen to this album, I always feel at least, and this is completely arbitrary, but follow me on this. You know, whenever I listen to this album, I feel at least 18% better and more happier than I did prior to listening to it. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If I listen to it twice during the day, you know, it's scalable. So I'm gonna feel on the second attempt, on the second go through, I'm gonna feel 36% better than I did before. So yeah, it's an absurd idea, but yeah, this is a happy album. It's mood enhancing. Yeah, if you're in a bad mood or something's gone wrong during the day, you can have a listen to this, and you probably will feel a lot better within yourself after the experience. So give it a go, see what you think. It's an honest, energetic, dynamic, and most importantly, unashamedly fun album. A mixture of shoulder shuffling and toe tapping tunes, along with more somber compositions. Yeah, so there's a bit of ebb and flow here. Can't deny that. Yeah, the lively tracks certainly are what I say they are. They are really kind of like. But he's also got those kind of like melancholy one as well, but it's more on the upbeat side. So the tracks that I would recommend would be firstly Mambo New, which is really lively. Chango, yeah, like that. And Guajarita, Guajarita, which is, I believe, the title track on this particular one. Well, not the title track, but the first track on side A. Lively track, you know where you stand. As soon as you hear that tune, it's like, whoa, whoa. Yeah, it's yeah. If you haven't heard it before, give it a listen. It is still widely available. It's relatively cheap, but don't think because it's relatively cheap it's not good. It is good. So have a listen for yourselves. If it's something that you find that you would like in your collection, I will get onto it sooner rather than later. But yeah, relatively the price is really cheap. So give it a go, but give it a listen first. So that's the last album today. I'd like you to thank you for sharing some of your time with me. It was really enjoyable, particularly the first album, which yeah made me go like that. Sometimes you just have to talk about some of these albums. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to my musings. If you found this video even mildly amusing, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting down below. Your comments are always gratefully received. So until the next episode, please look after yourselves, stay safe, and yes, let's all hope for a more pleasant and less eventful 2021. So until the next episode, look after yourselves, take care, bye bye.